I pulled into the driveway, my tires crunching softly on the gravel. The house sat back from the street, surrounded by mature oak trees. My father had bought this property 20 years ago for the land, a sprawling lot with a huge front yard and an even bigger backyard. Dad had built this house with the future in mind. Plenty of space for grandkids to run around, he used to say. And look at all that room in the back. You could even build another house there someday if you wanted. The house itself was modern and practical. Single-story, open-concept layout. The floors were marble-like tile throughout. He'd given me this house when I was still single, before I'd ever met Zach. Put it in my name only. "This is yours, Eden," he'd said. "No matter what happens in life, you'll always have a roof over your head." I wish he were still here. I wish he could see what his gift had become. I parked and noticed both Zach's Chevy sedan and Bella's Honda were already in the driveway. Strange. It was only 3 in the afternoon. Zach should have been at the dealership until at least 6. Bella only worked part-time at the bank, mornings mostly, but she usually went to the mall afterward. She'd come home with shopping bags at least twice a week. I grabbed my laptop bag and walked quietly to the front door. I turned the key slowly and stepped inside. The living room was empty. Kitchen too. But I could hear voices coming from down the hallway. From the master bedroom at the end. They were talking loudly. They didn't know I was home. I set my laptop down silently on the entry table and moved closer to the bedroom. That's when I heard them clearly. "I'm telling you, it's foolproof," Zach's voice carried down the hall. "We just need to get her to sign the paperwork. Tell her it's some kind of insurance thing or property tax update. She'll believe whatever I say." Bella laughed. "You really think she's that naive?" "Babe, she's been that naive for 12 years. She pays my bills, cooks my dinner, and smiles while doing it. The woman has no clue what's going on around her." My hand tightened on my purse strap. I stayed perfectly still, barely breathing. "But the house," Bella said. "It was her father's. Won't she be suspicious?" "Her father's been dead for years, and she's so busy with her little business, running around meeting clients, she barely pays attention to anything else." Zach paused. "Besides, once the deed is in my name, we can kick her out. Divorce her. She'll have nothing." "What about alimony?" Bella asked. Zach laughed. It was a cold sound. "On what grounds? Look at her. She's gained, 40 pounds since the cancer thing? No judge is going to think I'm the bad guy for leaving. And she will be the one paying me alimony, not me." Something twisted in my chest. Not pain. Not anymore. Something else entirely. "After we get the house and kick Eden out, we can sell this place," Zach continued. "Split the money 50-50. This property is worth at least $600,000, maybe more. We could move to California. Start fresh, do whatever we want." "What happens to her business?" Bella asked. "Not my problem. She can figure that out herself. I just want what her daddy left her." His voice dripped with mockery. He thought he was so smart giving it to her before we even met, thought he was protecting his little girl, but he didn't count on her being dumb enough to sign it over to her loving husband herself. I'd heard enough. Actually, I'd heard more than enough. But instead of feeling hurt, instead of feeling betrayed, I felt something completely unexpected. Relief, pure, overwhelming relief. I backed away from the bedroom quietly, grabbed my laptop bag and slipped out the front door just as silently as I'd entered. Once in my car, I sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. Then I started laughing. Quietly at first, then harder. They thought I was stupid. They thought I had no idea. They were planning to steal my father's house. And I was actually happy about it. Let me explain why. 4 years ago, I had surgery to remove my thyroid after being diagnosed with papillary thyroid cancer. I survived. I recovered. But the aftermath wasn't easy. Without a thyroid, my body doesn't produce the hormones it needs to regulate metabolism. I take Synthroid every day, synthetic thyroid hormone that's supposed to replace what I lost. But it's not the same. My metabolism slowed down. No matter how carefully I ate, no matter how much I exercised, the weight came on fast and stayed. 43 pounds in 2 years. Zach noticed immediately. "You're really gonna wear that?" he'd say when I got dressed. "It's kind of tight, don't you think?" Or, "Maybe you should skip dessert tonight." Or, "I'm just worried about your health, babe. You're not taking care of yourself." At first, I tried harder. I counted every calorie. I spent hours at the gym. I cried in the bathroom when nothing fit anymore. But Zach's comments got worse, not better. "I can't take you to the dealership events anymore," he said one evening. You don't look the part. It reflects badly on me." I'd cried that night, alone in our bedroom while he watched TV in the living room. The comments continued. Every day, something new, something cruel. "Did you really eat all of that? You're embarrassing me. I can't even look at you sometimes." Each comment was like a small cut. Individually, maybe they wouldn't have been so bad. But together, over months and years, they bled me dry. I kept a diary. Started it about a year ago. Every time Zach said something hurtful, I wrote it down. The date, what he said, how it made me feel. I'd fill pages some weeks, the words piled up like evidence of my own worthlessness. I cried a lot in those early months. Cried myself to sleep, cried in the shower, cried while making dinner that Zach would barely touch because he was watching his weight. Then came the company gala 6 months ago. Zach's dealership was hosting a black tie event. I'd bought a new dress, had my hair done, tried so hard to look beautiful for him. He looked at me when I came out of the bedroom and his face fell. "You're not seriously planning to go like that," he said. "Like what?" "I bought a new dress. I thought..." "Eden." He cut me off. "I think it's better if you stay home tonight." I stared at him. "What? You'll embarrass me." "Look at you. You can't even fit into normal clothes anymore. Everyone will be staring. Just stay home." He left without me. I stood in that dress in our empty house and something inside me broke. Not my heart. That had been breaking slowly for years. Something else. Something fundamental. I wasn't sad anymore. I was done. The next morning I called a lawyer. Sarah Miller's office was downtown in a building with comfortable chairs and soft lighting. She listened to everything I told her. The comments, the cruelty, the way Zach made me feel worthless while I paid all his bills. "I want a divorce," I said. Sarah nodded. "I can help you with that. But I need to be honest with you about something. Oregon is a no-fault state. Without evidence of adultery or abuse, and given that you're the primary breadwinner, you'll likely end up paying him spousal support." My stomach dropped. "Alimony?" "Yes, possibly for several years, depending on the length of your marriage." I looked at her in disbelief. "But I already support him. I pay his car loan, his credit cards, everything." "I understand. But the court will look at his income versus yours. He's a car salesman. You run a successful marketing consulting firm. The disparity is significant." I left her office that day feeling trapped. I wanted out. I desperately wanted out. But the thought of paying Zach alimony after everything he'd done, after all the years I'd already supported him while he mocked me, made me sick. Sarah had been clear. If you can prove fault, adultery, abandonment, abuse, that changes things. But you'd need evidence, solid evidence. I didn't have any. That was 2 months ago. Since then, I'd been stuck, going through the motions, playing the role of devoted wife while planning my escape. And then Bella moved in. Bella Thompson, my best friend since college. She'd gotten divorced 3 months ago after her husband cheated on her. She'd called me crying, asking if she could stay with us for a while until she found her own place. Of course I'd said yes. What else could I do? But something changed after Bella moved into our guest room. Little things at first. The way Zach smiled at her, the way Bella's hand would linger on his arm when they talked, how they'd both go quiet when I entered a room, like I'd interrupted something. I noticed Bella's schedule too. She worked part-time at the bank, mornings only. But she rarely came straight home. She'd show up around 4 or 5 with shopping bags from the mall, new clothes, makeup, things she claimed were on sale. Meanwhile, her contribution to our household? Coffee and donuts she'd pick up on her way home. Maybe $200 total over 4 months of living here rent-free. I started suspecting something was going on between them. But I had no proof, just a feeling. Just the way they looked at each other when they thought I wasn't paying attention. And now, today, I'd come home early from a client meeting and heard them planning to steal my house, my father's house, the house he'd given me to protect me. And instead of being devastated, I was thrilled, because finally, I had evidence, not just of an affair, of something so much worse. A plot to defraud me, to trick me into signing over my property, to kick me out of my own home. No judge would make me pay Zach alimony after this. I drove straight to the electronics store. A young sales associate approached me. "Can I help you find something?" "Hidden cameras," I said. "I need several. Small, discreet, with cloud backup." He nodded without asking questions and led me to a display wall. "These are our most popular models. This one looks like a regular phone charger. This clock here has a camera built into the face, and this air freshener plug-in, you'd never know there's a camera inside." I picked up each one, examining them. "Do they all have cloud storage?" "Yes, ma'am. Everything uploads automatically to a secure cloud server. Even if someone finds the camera and destroys it, all the footage is already saved online. You can access it from your phone anytime." "Perfect." I bought 3 phone charger cameras, 2 clocks, and 2 air freshener plugins. Over $600 on my business credit card, the one Zach had no access to. From there, I went to the grocery store. I picked up ingredients for Zach's favorite dinner, pot roast with all the fixings, the kind of meal that screamed devoted wife. I even grabbed tiramisu from the bakery section, Bella's favorite. At my car, I loaded the groceries into the trunk and carefully placed the bag with the cameras underneath everything else, covered with reusable shopping bags. I checked the time, almost 5:30. I'd been gone about an hour and 45 minutes since I'd first come home and overheard them. I took a deep breath and headed back. When I pulled into the driveway, both their cars were still there. I grabbed the grocery bags, leaving the cameras hidden in the trunk, and walked to the front door. "I'm home," I called out cheerfully as I pushed through the door. I heard movement from the bedroom. Quick footsteps, whispered voices. I walked into the kitchen and started unloading groceries, humming softly to myself. Within seconds, they appeared. Zach came first, running his hand through his hair. His shirt was slightly wrinkled, untucked on one side. "Hey, babe, you're home early." "Am I?" I glanced at the clock. "Oh, I guess a little. The client meeting wrapped up faster than expected." I pulled out the pot roast. "I thought I'd make your favorite tonight." Bella emerged behind him, her face flushed. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "That sounds amazing, Eden. You're so sweet." "Well, you've been such a huge help around here," I said warmly. "It's the least I can do." I watched them exchange a quick glance. Relief washed over both their faces. That's when I noticed it. Bella's shirt was inside out. The seams were clearly visible along the collar. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to keep from smiling. "So how was work, you two?" I asked, pulling out the cutting board. "Zach, did you close that deal you mentioned this morning?" He took a long sip from the beer he'd grabbed from the fridge. Yeah, mostly. Still working through some financing details." "That's great, honey." I started washing vegetables. "And Bella, how was the bank today?" Bella shifted her weight. "Actually, they sent us home early. Slow day. Computer systems were acting up." "Oh no, that's frustrating," I said sympathetically. "Well, at least you get some rest." They both seemed uncomfortable, like they were waiting to see if I suspected anything, but I just kept smiling, kept chopping vegetables, kept playing the role they expected. Inside, I was already planning. Tomorrow morning, they'd both leave for work. Bella would leave around 9 for her part-time shift. Zach would already be gone by then, and the moment that door closed behind them, I'd install every single camera. "Dinner should be ready in about an hour," I said brightly. "Why don't you two relax?" They practically fled to the living room. Dinner went exactly as I expected. I served the pot roast perfectly. Zach complimented the food. Bella gushed about how lucky Zach was to have such a wonderful wife. I watched them carefully throughout the meal, the way they looked at each other when they thought I wasn't paying attention, how Zach's hand disappeared under the table at one point and Bella's face flushed. After dinner, I cleaned up while they disappeared to their separate rooms. I heard the shower running in the guest bathroom, then later in the master bathroom, separate showers to maintain appearances. I went to bed while Zach was still in the shower. When he finally climbed in beside me an hour later, I pretended to be asleep. He didn't try to wake me. He never did anymore. The next morning, I woke before my alarm. I went through my usual routine while Zach got ready for work. He left around 7:30 without kissing me goodbye. Bella emerged around 8, dressed in her bank teller uniform. "Have a good day," I called out as she grabbed her purse. "You too." I watched her car disappear down the street. Then I counted to 60. I practically ran to my car and pulled out the bags of cameras. My hands were steady as I brought them inside and started setting them up. Living room, phone charger camera plugged into the outlet behind the lamp. Perfect view of the entire space. Kitchen, clock camera on top of the refrigerator. Clear view of the table, the island, everything. Hallway, air freshener plug-in positioned to capture anyone entering or leaving the bedrooms. Master bedroom. I hesitated before entering. This was the room where Zach and I had shared 12 years of marriage. The room where he now brought my best friend. I placed the picture frame camera on my dresser, angling it carefully. It looked like just another decorative frame, but it had a perfect view of the entire bed. I spent the next hour setting up each camera on the app on my phone. Cloud storage activated, motion detection enabled, real-time alerts configured. I tested each feed, watching myself move through different rooms on my screen. Crystal clear. Perfect angles. Even if they somehow found these cameras and destroyed them, every single second would already be saved in the cloud. That evening, they both came home around the same time. I was at the kitchen table working on my laptop when they arrived. We had dinner together. I made spaghetti, something simple. We talked about their days, normal conversation, nothing suspicious. Then, while we were cleaning up, I made my announcement. "Oh, I almost forgot to mention," I said casually. "I got hired for a big marketing project in Seattle. It's a 2-week contract, really great money, and it could lead to more corporate clients." Zach looked up from his phone. 2 weeks? That's a long time. "I know, but it's too good to pass up. I leave Monday morning, come back in 2 weeks on Friday." I saw it. Just for a split second. The look that passed between them. Excitement, opportunity. 2 whole weeks alone together. "That's amazing, babe," Zach said, his voice a little too enthusiastic. "You should definitely do it." "Absolutely," Bella chimed in. "That's such a great opportunity for your business." "You sure you'll be okay without me for that long?" I asked, looking between them. "We'll be fine," Zach said quickly. "Don't worry about us at all." "Well, if you're sure," I said. "I'll probably work most of the time anyway. Long days, lots of meetings, but it'll be worth it." They both nodded, barely containing their excitement. I finished cleaning the kitchen while they settled in the living room. Inside, I was smiling. 2 weeks. They thought they had 2 weeks of freedom. What they actually had was 2 weeks to destroy themselves. The weekend passed normally. I pretended to prepare for my trip. I packed my suitcase with professional clothes, my laptop, everything I'd need for a legitimate business trip. I made lists. I talked about the project. I acted excited and nervous. All the while, my cameras captured everything. Saturday afternoon, while I was supposedly running errands, I watched the footage on my phone from my car. Zach and Bella in the living room, sitting close together, his arm around her shoulders, talking about their plans for the 2 weeks I'd be gone. Sunday evening, I caught them in the kitchen. Zach had pulled Bella close, kissing her while I was in the bedroom. Every moment documented, every piece of evidence saved. Monday morning came. I loaded my suitcase into my car, fully packed this time, since I really was leaving. Just not for Seattle. "Good luck with the project," Zach said, barely looking up from his coffee. "Thanks, honey. I'll miss you." "Miss you too." Bella gave me a hug at the door. 2 weeks will fly by. You'll do amazing." "Thank you, Bella. Take care of each other." I drove away, watching my house disappear in the rearview mirror, but I didn't drive north towards Seattle. I drove 20 minutes into downtown Portland and checked into the Residence Inn. The suite I'd booked for 2 weeks was perfect. Living area with a desk, separate bedroom, kitchenette, everything I needed. I unpacked my laptop and pulled up all the camera feeds. Living room, kitchen, hallway, bedroom, all empty, both of them at work, but not for long. Around noon, I texted Zach, "Made it to Seattle, hotel is nice, about to head to the first meeting, love you." He replied, "Great, have fun, love you too." I stared at those 3 words. He'd say them while planning to steal my house, while sleeping with my best friend, while mocking me behind my back. I set my phone aside and waited. The first sign of movement came at 4:30. Zach's car pulled into the driveway. I sat up, watching the living room feed. He came through the door, tossed his keys on the table, and pulled out his phone. 30 seconds later, Bella's car appeared. She'd left work early. They came together in the living room immediately. No pretending anymore. No careful distance. They embraced, kissed, touched each other like they'd been waiting all day. I made myself keep watching. They settled on the couch, sitting close, talking animatedly. Then they got up and headed toward the bedroom. I switched to the bedroom camera. They entered my room and closed the door. I didn't need details. The evidence was clear enough. They were in my bedroom together for over an hour. When they emerged, both looking disheveled, they went to the kitchen. That's when I heard the conversation clearly. "I could get used to this," Bella said, opening the refrigerator. 2 whole weeks of just us. No sneaking around, no pretending. "I know," Zach replied, coming up behind her. "It's going to be perfect. We can do whatever we want." "Do you really think you can get her to sign over the house?" Bella asked, turning to face him. "Absolutely. After she gets back, I'll wait a week or 2, then bring it up. Tell her it's for tax purposes or something. She'll believe whatever I say." "And then what happens to her?" Zach shrugged, opening a beer. "Not my problem. She has her business. She'll figure it out. I just want this property. Do you know what this place is worth? At least $600,000. "That much? Her daddy bought well," Zach said coldly. "Too bad he's not around to protect his precious daughter anymore. After we get the house and kick Eden out, we sell it. Split the money, move somewhere new. California maybe. Start fresh." I took screenshots, documented timestamps, wrote detailed notes. They spent the evening planning their future together, talking about where they'd go, what they'd do with the money, how they'd split everything. Around 10, Bella said something that made me pause. "Do you think she'll fight the divorce?" "She might try," Zach admitted. "But once the house is in my name, what can she do? It's not worth fighting over. And honestly, I'll tell the court she let herself go. Stop taking care of herself. No judge will blame me for leaving." They both laughed. I saved the video clip, made sure the audio was crystal clear. The pattern continued all week. They spent every evening together, in my living room, in my kitchen, in my bedroom. They talked about their plans constantly, getting more detailed, more confident. By Friday, they were discussing timelines. "I'm thinking I'll approach her about the paperwork in about 3 weeks, Zach said. They were on the couch, Bella's head on his shoulder. "Give her time to settle back into routine after this Seattle trip. Then I'll make it sound urgent, like we need to do it for insurance purposes or estate planning." "You really think she won't suspect anything?" "Babe, I've been with her for 12 years. I know exactly how she thinks. She trusts me completely. She'd never believe I'd do something like this." "What if she asks questions?" "She won't. Eden sees what she wants to see. She wants to believe we're happy, so that's what she sees. She wants to believe you're her loyal best friend, so that's what she sees. She's completely, totally clueless. I saved everything." While they destroyed themselves on camera, I was busy. Monday afternoon, I called Sarah Miller. "I have everything," I told her. "Video, audio, everything. They're planning to trick me into signing a quitclaim deed. They talk about it constantly." "Send me everything you have," Sarah said. "I'll start drafting the divorce petition immediately." I spent the next 3 days organizing evidence. I created a comprehensive folder with video footage from the cameras, clearly labeled by date and time. Screenshots of the most damaging conversations. Bank statements showing 12 years of me paying Zach's debts. Copies of invoices showing I'd paid his car loan and credit cards every month. My diary, where I'd documented every cruel comment he'd made about my weight, with dates I'd been keeping that diary since the company gala. Every time Zach said something hurtful, I wrote it down. The date, what he said, how it made me feel, pages and pages of cruelty, all documented. I copied everything to a thumb drive and sent it to Sarah. "This is perfect," she said when we met on Wednesday. "He's not getting a penny from you, not in alimony, not in property division, nothing." "How soon can we file?" I asked. "I'll have the petition ready by Monday. We can file Tuesday." "I want them served on Saturday," I said. 2 weeks from now when I come home. I want both of them to be there." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "You want to be present?" "Yes, I want to see their faces. I can arrange for a private process server. Saturday morning, 9 a.m.? Perfect." While Sarah prepared the legal documents, I focused on the practical aspects of my new life. I found a 1-bedroom condo for rent. Small, modern, perfect for me. I signed the lease and paid the deposit and first month's rent. I contacted a realtor. Paul Stanton, the man said when he answered. How can I help you? I need to sell my house, I told him. Single story, modern construction, large lot, great location. I'd be happy to help. When would you like to schedule a walkthrough? I'm out of town for another week. Can we do it the Wednesday after I return? Absolutely. I'll need some documentation to get started. Deed, recent property tax statements, that kind of thing. I'll provide everything you need. That Friday, while Zach and Bella thought I was busy in Seattle, I drove back to my house while they were at work. I let myself in quietly and went straight to my office. I pulled the deed from my filing cabinet, property tax documents, home insurance papers, everything Paul would need. These were going in a safety deposit box at the bank, where Zach could never touch them. I also grabbed some other important items. My passport, birth certificate, my father's watch that I kept in my jewelry box, family photos, things I'd never see again once I sold this house. I packed them carefully in a box and took them to my new apartment. The second week followed the same pattern. Zach and Bella spent every evening together, getting more comfortable, more careless. They stopped being cautious about the cameras they didn't know existed. Thursday night, I watched them in the kitchen, cooking dinner together. Only one more day until she comes home, Bella said, sounding disappointed. I know, but it's been a good 2 weeks, right? Zach kissed her neck. And it's not like we have to stop. We just have to be more careful again. For how much longer? Not long, a few more weeks, then I'll get her to sign the papers. After that, it doesn't matter if she finds out. The house will already be mine. I can't wait, Bella said. I'm so tired of sneaking around. Soon, babe, soon. I saved the footage. Friday morning came. While Zach and Bella were at work, I drove to my house one last time before my return. I let myself in with my key and went straight to the bedroom. My closet was full of clothes, shoes, accessories, everything I owned. I started packing. I worked quickly, methodically. I took everything I cared about. My favorite clothes, my good shoes, jewelry, personal items. I left behind only things I didn't care about losing. Old clothes I never wore. Things that didn't matter. By noon, my car was loaded with bags and boxes. I'd made 3 trips to my new apartment, moving everything out. I stood in my closet and looked at what remained. Maybe a quarter of what had been there this morning. They wouldn't notice. They never paid attention to my things anyway. That afternoon, I checked out of the hotel. I went to my new apartment and repacked my suitcase, the same one I'd left with 2 weeks ago. I filled it with some of the clothes I'd just moved, making it look like I'd been traveling. At 5:30, I drove to my house. I pulled into the driveway with my suitcase in the trunk, the same luggage they'd seen me leave with. Both their cars were already there. I grabbed the suitcase and my laptop bag, took a deep breath, and walked to the front door. I'm home, I called out cheerfully as I stepped inside with my bags. Zach appeared from the living room, smiling. Hey babe, welcome home. How was Seattle? Exhausting but amazing, I said, setting down my suitcase. I think I landed at least 3 new corporate clients. The project went even better than expected. That's wonderful, Eden, Bella said, emerging from the hallway and giving me a hug. We missed you? I missed you both, too. How were the 2 weeks? What did you do? They exchanged a quick glance. Pretty quiet, Zach said. Just worked, watched TV, nothing exciting. I caught up on some reading, Bella added. It was nice and relaxing. That's good, I said warmly. I'm glad you both got some rest. You look refreshed. I wheeled my suitcase to the bedroom. The suitcase was mostly empty now, just enough clothes to make it look legitimate. Everything else was already safely at my new apartment. We ordered pizza for dinner, sat around like a happy little family. They told me about their boring 2 weeks. I told them about my fictional project in Seattle. All the while, my cameras were recording, and I was counting down. Less than 24 hours now. That night, I lay in bed next to Zach and thought about my father. He'd built this house thinking about grandchildren, about family, about safety. He'd given it to me to protect me. And tomorrow, I was going to sell it. I knew he'd understand. The house didn't matter. The memories it held now didn't matter. What mattered was that I was finally getting free. I fell asleep smiling. Saturday morning, I woke up early. Zach was still sleeping. I got up quietly and went to the kitchen. I made breakfast: French toast, bacon, fresh fruit. The kind of big breakfast I used to make on weekends when we were first married. One last performance. While the bacon was cooking, I went to my car and got the envelope I'd prepared. Inside were printed photos, screenshots from the camera footage, Zach and Bella on the couch, in the kitchen, entering the bedroom together. Not explicit, nothing inappropriate, just clear evidence that they'd been together while I was gone. I spread them across the kitchen table like placemats. Then I went back to cooking. At 8:30, Zach emerged, yawning. "Something smells good," he said. "I made French toast," I called out. "Your favorite. Come eat." Bella appeared a few minutes later, still in her pajamas. "Wow, Eden, this looks amazing," she said. Sit, I said, bringing plates to the table. They both sat down, and that's when they saw the photos. Zach's face went white. Bella's hand flew to her mouth. What is this?" Zach stammered. The doorbell rang. 9 a.m. exactly. I grabbed my purse, my laptop, and my car keys from where I'd strategically placed them by the door. Zach stood up slowly, staring at the photos, then at me. "Eden, we need to." The doorbell rang again. I just smiled at them, warm and bright. Zach walked to the door like he was in a trance. He opened it. A man in a professional suit stood there with a clipboard. "Zachary Peterson? Yes, you've been served." He handed Zach a thick envelope. "Have a good day, sir." Bella had appeared in the hallway, her face pale. Zach was opening the envelope with shaking hands. His face went even whiter as he pulled out the papers. I walked past them toward my car, giving them a little wave and my brightest smile. "Eden," Zach called out. "Wait, we need to talk." I didn't stop. I didn't answer. I just kept walking. I got in my car, started the engine, and backed out of the driveway. In my rearview mirror, I could see them standing there. Zach holding the divorce papers, Bella with her hand over her mouth, both of them looking completely stunned. I drove away, smiling. I drove to my apartment and finally let myself feel it. Relief. Pure, overwhelming relief. I made coffee and sat down with my laptop. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Zach calling. Then texting. Then calling again. Bella too. Message after message. "Eden, please, we need to talk. This is all a misunderstanding. Please answer your phone. We can explain everything." I ignored all of it. Instead, I opened my camera app and watched them. They were back in my house. In the kitchen, the photos still spread across the table. They were arguing, Bella crying, Zach pacing, waving the divorce papers around. How did she know? I could hear Bella asking through the camera audio, "How did she find out?" "I don't know. She must have hired someone, a private investigator or something." They still hadn't found the cameras. Idiots. I watched Zach pick up one of the photos, staring at it. His face was red, angry. "She's been planning this," he said. "The whole Seattle trip, it was all a setup." "What are we going to do?" Bella asked, her voice panicked. "I don't know. Let me think." Zach tried calling me again. I watched him on camera, phone to his ear, waiting for me to answer. I didn't. I watched them panic for another hour. Watched them try to figure out what to do. Watched them realize, slowly, that they were completely screwed. Zach kept looking at the divorce papers, reading them, his face getting paler. "She's selling the house," he said finally. "It says here she's selling the property. We have 30 days to vacate." 30 days? Bella's voice rose. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I don't know, Bella. I don't know." "What about you? Where are you going to go?" Zach sank into a chair, his head in his hands. "I can't afford anywhere on my own. My credit cards are maxed out. I have no savings. Eden's been paying for everything." I watched the reality hit him. Without me, he had nothing. No way to pay his car loan, no way to pay his credit cards, no way to afford an apartment. Bella was crying harder now. "This is a disaster. This is a complete disaster." I watched for a while longer, then closed the app. I had things to do. Monday morning, I called Paul Stanton. "I'm back in town," I said, "ready to move forward with selling the house." "Excellent. When works for the walkthrough?" "How about Wednesday morning, 9 a.m.? "Perfect. I'll meet you there." After I hung up, I made another call. "Jason, it's Eden." My cousin's deep voice came through warm and happy. "Eden, hey, how are you? It's been too long." "I know, I'm sorry I haven't called. Are you free for coffee? I need to talk to you about something." "Of course, when and where?" Tuesday afternoon, I met Jason at a coffee shop near my new apartment. He was exactly what I needed. 6'3", broad-shouldered, successful businessman who owned bakeries and restaurants across the state. Intimidating without even trying. More importantly, he was family. Someone I could trust. We sat down with our coffees and I told him everything. The affair, the plan to steal my house, the divorce, his jaw clenched. Are you serious? He tried to steal Uncle Mike's house? Tried being the key word. That piece of... Jason stopped himself, took a breath. I never liked him. You know that, right? From the moment you introduced him, I knew he was bad news. I know. What do you need from me? My lawyer said I should bring someone with me when I go back to the house, just in case Zach does something stupid. I have a walkthrough with the realtor tomorrow morning at 9. Can you come with me? Jason didn't hesitate. Absolutely. I'll be there. Thank you. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You're doing the right thing, Eden. Uncle Mike would be proud of you. Wednesday morning, I pulled up to my house with Jason following in his truck. Paul Stanton was already waiting in the driveway. I was surprised to see both Zach's and Bella's cars there. They should have been at work. We walked to the door together, me, Jason, and Paul. I used my key to let us in. Zach and Bella were in the living room. They looked terrible, like they hadn't slept in days. The kitchen table still had the photos spread across it. Eden. Zach stood up immediately. We need to talk. Please, just hear me out. That's when he noticed Jason behind me. Jason stood there, 6'3" of solid muscle and quiet authority, his arms crossed over his chest. Zach backed up immediately. He knew Jason, and he knew Jason had never liked him. What's he doing here? Zach asked, his voice uncertain. Jason's here with me, I said calmly. And this is Paul Stanton, my realtor. We're here for the walkthrough. Zach's face went even paler. Realtor? You're really selling the house? Yes. Eden, please, you can't. I held up my hand. Paul, shall we start in the kitchen? We walked through the house systematically. Paul took notes, measurements, photos, made comments about the property value, the lot size, the potential. Beautiful property, he said. This lot alone is worth a premium, and the house is in excellent condition. Zach and Bella followed us from room to room like lost children, not speaking, just watching. When we finished, we stood in the living room. This is a beautiful property, Paul said. Great bones, excellent location, and that lot size is rare in this area. I think we can list it very competitively, should sell quickly, possibly above asking with the right marketing. Perfect, I said. Send me the listing agreement and we'll get started. Will do. I'll have it to you by end of day. He shook my hand and left. Jason stayed. I turned to Zach and Bella. 30 days, I said simply. Zach's face hardened, a flash of the old arrogance trying to surface. I'm not signing those divorce papers. I'll fight this. You can't just throw me out. I looked at him calmly. Really? You'll fight it? With what money? Or did you forget that I'm the one who's been paying for everything? I'm done paying your debts. You're on your own now. His face crumpled as the reality hit him. No money for a lawyer. No money for anything. Bella stepped forward, her eyes red and swollen from crying. Eden, please, if you would just... I turned to her. Before I forget, Bella, good luck. You'll need it. The man who cheats with you will eventually cheat on you. But hey, at least you'll finally understand what I went through. Except you won't have me to cry to about it. Her face crumpled and fresh tears started falling. Zach found his voice again, desperate now. Where am I supposed to go? I can't afford... Not my problem. I looked at him one last time. You have 30 days, Zach. And remember, you destroy anything in this house, you will pay for it on top of your own loans. Everything is documented. Everything. I started toward the door. Jason followed. Eden, Zach's voice cracked. Please, we can work this out. I stopped and turned back. No, Zach, we can't. You had 12 years to work things out. You chose to spend those years tearing me down, using me, and plotting to steal from me. I paused, making sure he heard every word. You told me not to come to your company gala because I'd embarrass you. Do you remember that? That was the moment I realized I deserved better. Everything that's happened since then, you did this to yourself. I walked out. Jason followed me to my car. You okay? He asked quietly. I'm perfect, I said honestly. Thank you for being here. Anytime, cousin. You need anything else, you call me. I mean it. Actually, I said, an idea forming. I might need your help with something else soon. Name it. I'm thinking about relocating. Most of my clients are in Seattle anyway, but I don't know the area well. Would you help me look for a house up there? Jason's face lit up. Are you serious? That would be amazing. Fresh start, new city. Exactly. Absolutely. I'd love to help. When do you want to start looking? Soon. Let me get this house sold first, then we'll go up there for a weekend and explore. It's a date. He pulled me into a hug. I'm proud of you, Eden. Uncle Mike would be too. I got in my car and drove away, for the final time. I went back to my apartment and pulled up the cameras on my laptop one more time. I needed to make sure they weren't destroying anything. Zach was pacing the living room, his phone in his hand. Bella was sitting on the couch, crying. I can't believe this is happening, Bella said. Where am I going to go? I used all my savings on my divorce. I have nothing. Join the club, Zach snapped. I'm completely broke. My credit cards are maxed out. I can't even afford first month's rent anywhere. What are we going to do? I don't know. Zach's voice rose. I need to think. He tried calling me again. I watched him on camera, waiting for me to answer. I didn't. She's not going to answer, Bella said quietly. She's done with us. She can't just cut me off like this, Zach said. I'm her husband. Not for long. Zach sank onto the couch, dropping his phone. This is a nightmare. How am I supposed to pay my bills? My car loan is due next week. My credit cards. He put his head in his hands. I'm screwed. I'm completely screwed. What about your parents? Could they help? Are you kidding? They barely talk to me. And even if they did, they don't have that kind of money. They sat in silence for a while. Then Bella asked quietly, Do you think she'll take you back? If you apologized? Zach looked up. What? I mean, she's clearly hurt. But maybe if you really apologized, explained that it was a mistake. You want me to grovel to her? Zach's voice was sharp. I want us to survive this. Bella shot back. I don't have anywhere to go, Zach. And you don't have any money. Maybe if you could convince her to at least help you financially. She's not going to help me. You saw those photos. She's been planning this for weeks, maybe months. I smiled and closed the laptop. They still hadn't found the cameras. They still had no idea how much I actually knew. The next few weeks passed quickly. The house listed on Friday. By Monday, we had 3 offers. I accepted the highest one, $645,000. Zach and Bella had 30 days from the day they were served. I tracked it on my calendar. I watched them on the cameras occasionally, watched them panic, watched them fight, watched Bella use the last of her savings to put a deposit on a small apartment. Watched Zach realize he'd have to move back in with a friend from the dealership, sleeping on their couch. I watched Zach's car get repossessed 2 weeks after I cut him off. He couldn't make the payment. I watched his phone calls to me become less frequent, then stop altogether. 3 weeks after I'd served him, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Hello? Eden. Zach's voice. Different somehow, smaller. Please don't hang up. I should have, but curiosity kept me on the line. What do you want, Zach? I wanted to apologize for everything. I was wrong, so wrong. I made a terrible mistake. I sat there in silence. Eden, please, I miss you. I miss us. Things with Bella, it's not working. She's not you. And financially, I'm drowning. My car got repossessed. I can't make my credit card payments. I thought maybe we could... No. Eden, please, just listen. Let me be very clear, Zach. You don't miss me. You miss having someone to pay your bills. You miss having someone to use. You miss having a safety net. That's not the same thing as missing me. That's not true. I still... Stop. Just stop. I took a breath. You told me I'd embarrass you at your company gala. You mocked my weight while I was dealing with a medical condition. You plotted to steal my father's house. You cheated on me with my best friend in my own bed. And now you want me to what? Take you back? Help you financially? I was wrong. I know that now. I'm sorry. You're not sorry, Zach. You're broke. There's a difference. I hung up. The next day, I got a text from Bella. Just 3 words. You destroyed us. I stared at it for a long time. Then I blocked her number. She still didn't understand. They had destroyed themselves. 3 months later, the house sold for $642,000 after closing costs. I never went back after the walkthrough. Jason helped me house hunt in Seattle, where most of my clients were anyway. I found a perfect two-bedroom with a water view and bought it outright. No mortgage, no debt, just freedom. My consulting firm kept growing. I started looking at office space downtown, though I was also considering keeping everyone remote. Through old acquaintances, I heard Zach and Bella found a small apartment together. Bella had used the last of her savings for the deposit. The lease was in her name only. Zach's credit was too destroyed. Now she was the one paying his bills, supporting him, carrying the weight. I wondered how long it would take before she felt what I had felt. Not long, apparently. 6 weeks after my divorce finalized, Zach left me a voicemail. "Eden, please. Things with Bella aren't working. She doesn't understand me like you did. She's always on my case about money. I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I deleted it without listening to the whole thing. He called again 2 days later. More desperate this time. I blocked his number. A week later, I ran into an old acquaintance at a Seattle coffee shop. "Eden, you look amazing. So happy." "I am," I said honestly. She lowered her voice. "I heard about Zach and Bella. Complete disaster, fighting constantly. She found out he called you trying to get back together, had a huge fight. She accused him of using her, of never really loving her." I sipped my coffee and said nothing. "Anyway, you look great, like a weight's been lifted." "It has," I said, "a 200-pound weight named Zach." After she left, I sat looking out at the Seattle skyline. I thought about my body. I was still struggling to lose weight. The thyroid helped, but my metabolism would never be what it was before. And you know what? That was okay. As long as I was healthy, as long as the cancer hadn't come back, as long as I was happy, I'd learned to embrace my new reality. My body had survived cancer. It deserved kindness, not criticism. I thought about my father, about the house he'd built to protect me. I'd sold that house, yes. Let it go. But I'd kept what mattered, my independence, my self-respect, my future. Dad would understand. My phone buzzed, an email from a potential client, a tech company, 6-figure contract. I smiled and started typing a response. My new life was just beginning, this time entirely on my own terms.
If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Don't forget to follow for more content just like this. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.